Yeah, don't eat cork. No, I was just checking it out. This is these guys are using DM, which, damn, DM is kind of the way to go now. No TCA, no cork taint anymore in the wines. I really love when these new progressive producers are using DM corks in their bottles. Even though they don't look like real cork, like they're real cork and they're amazing and they're awesome. Anywho, today's story is a new, cool, common one happening in Burgundy. And what is that story? Well, here's the deal. The new cats coming into Burgundy, they can't afford like the vineyard land that's like the stuff that if you're a Burgundy nerd in the 90s, you'd be looking for, right? Because in the 90s, it was, Claude Laroche, Corton Charlemagne, Von Romanet Beaumont, Jaillet, Rouget, whatever. The new Burgundy is something different because those wines still exist. Those producers are still making those wines, but it's basically unobtainable, right? That's you're in rarefied air. Those wines are $700 a bottle, $1,000 a bottle, $10,000 a bottle. Those don't happen. So if you're a younger vigneron in Burgundy, your family has some decent vineyards, but nothing great. Well, nothing great. We'll get to that. What do? What's your plan? What's your gig? And what we're seeing now is this kind of this separation in Burgundy, where you got the new cool kids working in the terroirs that weren't so cool, right? Back when our generation and the generation before me was thinking, oh, we only buy wines from these vineyards. No, that's all changed. The new generation is working with vineyards that our generation and the generation before me wouldn't even have considered as like cool or hip or I need to buy this wine. And the other vineyards that were the cool vineyards now are so expensive and ridiculously unobtainable that they don't even come into play. So we have this big like vacuum, this space, and the cool kids are coming into this space now with wines like these. So this is Cornu-Camus. And Cornu-Camus, you haven't heard of Cornu-Camus. You've heard of a Camus in Burgundy. You've heard of a Cornu in Burgundy, but you haven't heard of Cornu-Camus. So basically, this is the classic story of Pierre Cornu, vigneron, bought vineyards in the late 70s, did not buy like the Tony plots. He bought like, Bourgogne, Haute Côte de Beaune, AC Savigny-lès-Beaune, AC Pernand-Vergelesses, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to create just a foundational winery to make classic, typical, inexpensive Burgundy wines. And then what happens, the next generation comes in, his daughter Lydia comes in and says, hey, I want to do something really cool with this. And the parents say, yeah, freaking go for it, right? This is happening a lot in Burgundy, especially in these areas where the family owns, a mixed 7-8 hectares, call it 20 acres of like stuff in Burgundy. They don't own Clos de la Roche and Chambertin, Clos de Bez and Cros Parentu, and no, they own Bourgogne, Haute Côte de Beaune, Côte de Beaune Village, Savigny-lès-Beaune AC, Pernand-Vergelesses AC, the little wines. But with climate change and the increasing knowledge with vinification and vineyard work, these wines are achieving heretofore unknown levels of quality for their humble appellations. And producers like Cornu-Camus are doing just that. So Lydia married a Christophe Pertuzo. Sorry, there's a lot of names and there's a lot of French. And Christophe brought with him some real knowledge. He had worked at Domaine Cornu-Camus. Not too shabby. And even the basics of Domaine Cornu-Camus can really inform you as to what to do on a daily basis with your basic cuvées, which they're your top cuvées. This is what these guys have. They got a little touch of, I think, Savigny-lès-Beaune Premier Cru, maybe a little touch of Pernand-Vergelesses Premier Cru, but this is this. And we are tickled pink to see a whole group of producers working in these humble appellations. This is what they have to work with. And they are delivering world-class wines from these humble appellations. So I'm not going to go too far deep into this other than the fact that We got three very humble appellations in front of us: Pernand-Vergelesses Rouge, Savigny-lès-Beaune Rouge, and Côte de Beaune Village Rouge. I opened the Côte de Beaune Village simply because it's the least expensive of the three, but all these wines follow along the same path. 2023 is very, very good for the conscientious growers in Burgundy, especially for red Burgundy. If you kept your yields down and you were very careful in the vineyard, you made absolutely profound wines. Look at that gorgeous color. Not as deep as those 20s. The 20s were like freakishly deep, but these wines are richer than the 21s, and they have more definition than 22 as a vintage. Just magic, you know? And actually the supplier brought them in, and we tasted, I think, did we taste 2 out of these 3? I'm trying to remember. But I just remember tasting these going like, wow, these are, these are just gorgeous village level appellation wines. So delicious. Burgundian, rich, juicy, fruity, nuanced, textured, wonderful wines. Now, the problem we have in some of these instances is a lot of these new cool kids are kind of running before they walk. I.e., there's a lot of guys working these humble appellations, but they start pricing these things a bit heavy in the context of the appellations, right? And that's one of the kind of unfortunate drawbacks with some of these producers is they're like nepo babies or scions from a different, they're the son of so-and-so or the daughter of so-and-so, and they start charging serious money on wines that they shouldn't really start charging serious money on yet. In this case, that is not the problem. The supplier told us the price of these wines, and we immediately bought every bottle we could get of all 3 of these cuvées. What does that mean? A mixed 20 cases between the 3 wines. But we have Côte de Beaune Village, Savigny-lès-Beaune, and Pernand-Vergelesses, all of them killer, stupid good, and they're all under $30. Which, sorry gang, that doesn't happen anymore. There's a lot of Lodi Pinot Noirs out there that are 30 bucks now, man. Like, this does not happen. So I almost don't want to talk too much more about this, because at this juncture, knowing you can get like terrific, killer, soulful red Burgundy from conscientious young growers at 30 bucks, these wines may already be sold out by the time you finish watching this video. But it's more, it's more just like letting you know what's happening in Burgundy. This is happening, right? You can't ignore the humble appellations anymore. The basic biatch appellations that, 20 years ago you've been like, I don't drink that. No, that's all changed. The landscape has changed. These wines are relevant, crazy good wines, and especially at the prices that Cornu-Camus is charging, some of the greatest values in Pinot Noir on the planet. And who would have thunk it? From Burgundy, which of course you associate with ... value? In this case, yes. So click buy, do that right now. Click and buy, get that out of the way. Then on the next video, if you like what you see, like us, and then subscribe. Cheers.